move forward. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Carol Marlowe, and I'm Manager of Recreation Services and Corporate Wellness for the City of Chilliwack, and I am thrilled to be your MC for this event. Before we get into the formal part of the program, I wanted to begin by respectfully acknowledging that we are honored to live, work, and play on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Stolo Coast Salish peoples. I'd like to introduce the dignitaries who are here, and starting off with the WHL Commissioner, Dan Neer. Hi, Dan. And we have Acting Mayor Jason Lum, Councillors Clute, Reed, Mercer, Westring, and Shields, all front and center, so thank you. And we have the WHL Director of Public Relations, Taylor Roca. I'd also like to thank the local media and all the media who are attending via Zoom or the WHL's media link. So thank you very much. We're excited to have this announcement broadcast to far and wide. And to get this program started, I'd like to introduce again WHL Commissioner Dan Neer.
Thanks so much, and it's great to be here to see these familiar faces today, and to everyone watching virtually, thank you for coming. I'm thrilled to be here in Chilliwack. Thanks to the Acting Mayor, Jason Lum, to the City of Chilliwack staff, council, and to the Cultural Center here, a beautiful facility for the tremendous hospitality this morning. Thank you to the Stalo Coast Salish peoples for welcoming us on their ancestral, traditional, and unceded land. Many of you know the Western Hockey League is one of the best, if not the best, development league in the world. Many of the best BC-born players of all time rode the bus through the Fraser Valley. Stan Smeal, Cliff Ronning, Ray Ferraro, Mark Recchi, Joe Sakic, Matt Barzal, Logan Stankoven, more recently Connor Bedard, and Chilliwack's own Zach Benson, traveling between Vancouver, Kelowna, and Kamloops, but those buses only stopped in Chilliwack for a few short years in the 59-year history of the league. While the Western League is often thought of a junior hockey league, because it is, we do have a couple of very important responsibilities. We develop the very best players, trainers, coaches, officials, and executives aspiring to advance to the National Hockey League. 88% of our players this year were from Western Canada, including more than 140 British Columbia-born players. We teach life skills. We guide young people to be humble, intelligent, thoughtful, and confident contributing members to society. Only a small percentage of players advance to play pro hockey. While we're committed to their development, we're very proud to prepare young men for life, for what's ahead of them, whatever that may be. And we create rallying points within communities. We engage young athletes, we participate in community events, we support charities, hospitals, we host theme nights acknowledging and recognizing the diversity of our fan bases. We honor Indigenous communities who welcome us on their land, and we give the community something that belongs to the community. Our hope is the Chilliwack WHL franchise can be a galvanizing presence in this city. Finally, we create millions of dollars of local economic impact. And Chilliwack's proximity to local rivalries will fuel visits from fans outside the community to root on their team and visit this beautiful city. So we're here today to formally launch the WHL's franchise application process for the City of Chilliwack to begin play in the 26-27 WHL season. So what does this mean? The landscape of hockey has changed dramatically since November, when the NCAA made a landmark decision in the United States changing eligibility rules in such a way that opened the door for the Western Hockey League and the CHL for their players to pursue NCAA opportunities. Some of the outcomes remain to be seen, and the change has been fast, but what we do know is that it's good for players. It's addressed a long-standing tension where 15-year-old players and families were required to make life-changing decisions about whether to choose a major junior or an NCAA pathway at a very young age. With this tension relieved, it's becoming apparent that for the elite player with the highest aspirations, all roads lead through the Western Hockey League, whether that's to the NHL, to youth sports, to the NCAA, and everywhere in between. The additions of Chilliwack and Penticton, which you heard yesterday, create opportunities for more Canadian players to join this path and for every top prospect to have a home in the Western Hockey League, while planting roots in growing Western Canadian communities. Some of you in this community in particular are surely wondering, will you acknowledge the Bruins' tenure? Why should we believe the league is committed to us? You left us in 2011. I'm here to acknowledge it. Though I wasn't here at the time, I know the pain it caused. So does the city council here, who reminded me of it a few times. Looking back, our departure is regrettable, created a long-standing friction between our league and this vibrant and growing community. What I can tell you today is we've strengthened our approach in protecting communities. The structure of our lease agreement with the city is long-term in nature. It's designed to provide a guarantee and an assurance to the city and its residents. The league intends to make this a permanent location for the franchise, and our franchise agreement with the owner, who's ultimately selected, will reflect this same intention, and it'll be an important contractual covenant. I can't turn back the clock, but I can look everyone here in the eye and say on behalf of the league that I apologize for what this community went through in 2011. We made a mistake, and we can't change what happened, but we're here today to make amends for it. And my expectation is we'll select an owner who's committed to the same thing I am, that the mayor is, and that council are committed to, making Chilliwack one of the best Western Hockey League communities in the league. In February, the WHL Board of Governors discussed the future of the WHL, including the possibility of expansion. Within that, it was decided it was in the best interest of the league and hockey in Western Canada for us to begin exploring the possibility of expansion into Chilliwack. What makes Chilliwack such an attractive market for us? Geographically, it's located in the heart of our BC division, down the road from the Vancouver Giants playing out of the Langley Event Center, and not too far down the highway from the likes of the Kamloops Blazers and Kelowna Rockets, and a short ferry trip to Victoria. Chilliwack's the fastest growing community in the Fraser Valley. The growth, the energy, and the bright future of the community is attractive. We see immense potential for this growing community. Most importantly, the city of Chilliwack is blessed with an incredible leadership group. Mayor Ken Popoff, Acting Mayor Jason Lum, CAO Dave Blaine and his staff. This is a team that's passionate about the community, wants the best for it, and believes the WHL can possibly contribute to the community. The city deserves credit for the commitment to the capital investment project that is set to take place, delivering the necessary upgrades to the Chilliwack Coliseum that overall will improve the overall safety and experience for all of its users in the facility, including local minor hockey. What does the franchise application process look like? If the direction of the WHL board to explore this expansion was step one, we now formally launch step two. We'll work in earnest to field the required interest from prospective owners, to take in application packages, to review them with the WHL's executive committee, the WHL Board of Governors, and find the right ownership to lead Chilliwack in its return for the 26-27 season. It's a very exciting time. There's a lot of work ahead, but we're pleased to be here to start the process. We're confident that in short order, we'll have an outstanding partner for us and for you, the city, as we enter this new era of hockey in Chilliwack. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Next, I'd like to call up Acting Mayor Jason Lum to say a few words on behalf of Mayor and Council.
It's nice to two tall guys. We don't have to adjust the mics too much. So, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It is, as Dan said, an incredibly exciting day, and we are so pleased to be here to join the WHL for their exciting expansion announcement. So, how do we get here? I do want to acknowledge over 20 years ago, the Chilliwack Coliseum was created through a P3 partnership with the Chiefs Development Group. Ownership of the Coliseum will revert back to the city at the conclusion of that agreement on May 1st, 2025. I would like to thank and acknowledge the CDG for being a great partner and for helping us provide residents with an incredible facility over those many years. With the city taking over ownership of the Coliseum, we are excited about improving the patron experience, which includes increasing availability to the public and making much-needed upgrades to the facility that will improve the patron experience. Having the WHL select Chilliwack for expansion is exciting for our community, really the cherry on top. They have a strong track record of supporting youth programs, local charities, when they will be greatly appreciated here in Chilliwack. The WHL offers a high caliber of play, which will be incredibly exciting for local hockey fans, and we got a ton of them. The league also plays a crucial role in developing future NHL stars with a high quantity of Canadian content. And I was thinking about the Four Nations Cup this year and how everybody needs a little bit more Canadian hockey in their lives, and thinking about how many alumni of the Dub that played on that Four Nations team and made us all so proud. So who knows, when we get into the ownership group selection and we announce the team names, I hope to see a lot of young folks in the crowd, future potential NHL stars being developed right here in Chilliwack. Like I said, it's an exciting day. Thank you, Dan, for your comments. I think the future is very bright. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. We have a chance now if you have any questions, and then we've got some photo opportunities with New Jersey. So if anybody has any questions for Dan or Jason.
Council's not allowed to ask hard questions. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Chilliwack, the hockey. Just a question for.
I would say that we're always chatting with potential ownership groups. I think that one of the things I've learned in the first 15 months at the league is a big part of my responsibility is ensuring we've got great owners and we play in great communities. I can spend lots of time on sponsorship and streaming deals and that kind of thing, but the root of our league is our foundation, which is our owners and communities. And so I have conversations weekly with, of course, the existing ownership groups, but individuals and groups who identify themselves as potential members of the WHL family. It's a scarce product. There's only 22 and soon to be 24 to go around, and so it's rare that they become available. And so there are a number of individuals and groups who have expressed interest, but we expect that after this announcement where we are, actively soliciting these conversations, that we'll hear from more.
As part of this whole process, we've had some really good discussions with the commissioner and his team. That has not been part of the discussion thus far.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think that what we're prepared to talk about is the next year. So Penticton will join the BC division, and so we'll have 12 in the Western Conference versus 11 in the East. And we published yesterday a little bit about what the scheduling parameters were, where Penticton will travel to play once in the East, and the Central Division will travel once to play in Penticton. There'll be 4 home and homes with Kelowna, 3 with the rest of the BC division, so on and so on. As far as what it'll look like for Chilliwack when they enter the league, I think it looks probably a little bit different because you create more substantial imbalance, but we're not prepared to outline what that looks like, as the discussions have been too preliminary at this stage, and we've had to move very quickly to figure out Penticton, the scheduling ramifications, and so on and so forth. So more to come there. The second question, what did you ask me second?
Why is Chilliwack going to be the top team?
Could you repeat the second part of the question? I didn't want to stiff you on that. Relates to the playoff format, so with Penticton being added, there'll be an extra team that doesn't qualify. We'll still have 8 teams in each conference who advance to the playoffs. I think every year we're going to do some reflection and look at the playoff format and see if it's working optimally, both for competitive reasons, operational reasons, and so on and so forth. And so no changes planned at this time. I just want to ensure I heard the question correctly. What makes Chilliwack more viable than it was in its last visit? Is that the question, Ben? Yeah, I think that I don't think it ever was not viable, to be totally honest with you. I think that there was decision makings, internal tensions, structural things that that resulted in the team moving. It's my understanding the lowest attendance the team ever had was north of 3,200 fans, which is not too shabby. We average about 4,000 in this league, which represents about 80% capacity in your facility. And so I don't think that it was a lack of viability. That might have been part of the storyline at the time, but I think Chilliwack's always been viable, and with this investment and this effort, that it has not only a chance to just be viable, but to be one of the shining stars in the league and in the BC division.
Yeah, right now we're working with the Chiefs to make sure that if they wish, they will have a home for the season, next season. So yeah, that's our plan right now, along with some of the upgrades that have been planned for, and we'll start to undertake some of those as well. There will be, as I said, we'll be looking to have expanding some of our access for local community groups as well, more dry floor access, et cetera. So we know that ice time is a premium in any community, and dry floor access is a premium in any community, so we'll be looking forward to having additional access. Yeah, that's more of a technical question for our staff, and I'm sure they can provide you some of the specific construction schedule around it. I know they do their best to make sure the impact isn't felt on the local community groups, but I know we'll phase some of those upgrades in. Some of them will be things like lighting and elevator upgrades and things like that. So it won't impact, on ice or dry floor activity.
Could you clarify the landscape question? Are you talking more about divisional and conference structures and scheduling, or something broader? Because I'm happy to answer either. Yeah, not dissimilar to the last question. Those are pretty technical aspects of things. What we've done on the expansion end of things for Penticton is we've looked at historical expansion drafts and protected lists and so on and so forth. We've had a situation where a new team, I believe it was Everett, made it to the final, and maybe they won the championship in their first year, and similar to the Vegas Golden Knights. And as you can imagine, you're trying to find a reasonable equilibrium. You want a community that joins the league to have some success, but the idea of them being able to jump ahead of everybody who's been building their team over time is a hard thing to do as well. And so at the league office, we're balancing that, and I can assure you the conversations are difficult and challenging, but we try to maintain as much balance as we can, and whoever's selected to be the investor and owner of this franchise will be pushing us very, very hard to have access to the best players at the earliest point in time, and the other 23 general managers will be saying no to everything, and you try and find common ground on that. But I think that we have a group that does a nice job at that, but we'll be hoping to see Chilliwack be very competitive early on. Does that answer the question?
And in Dan's comments, he mentioned that we had, worked through agreements that would protect, the city and the long-term viability. One of the things he wouldn't give council when we were arm wrestling is all the first draft picks. So he wouldn't include that in the agreement.
Yeah, thanks for the question. We've received none so far, but that's because we haven't issued the packets. So the way that it works is, we have a packet that's about 90% of the way there that we've worked in collaboration with the city that speaks about the demographics, the marketplace, the environment, the league itself, what some general expectations are as far as what a P&L looks like running a team and an operating budget and those types of things. Interested parties will sign a non-disclosure agreement. They'll get access to some of this information, and then there'll be a period of time which they have to do the research. We'll likely host some time for interested suitors to come in and see the facility, to see the community, and so on and so forth. And then, we'll create a deadline for bid submissions. Probably proceeds to a set of finalists, at which point we ask for more detailed information. But the key criteria once you get to that point would be the hockey strategic plan, the business operations strategic plan, the community strategic plan, and then the economics of the deal, and expansion fee, so to speak. To the question around local relevance, I think one of the things I'll be emphasizing to potential ownership groups is whether it's the owner or one of a majority or minority owners having a real legitimate and authentic connection to BC and ideally to the Fraser Valley would be hugely valuable. But at the same time, we have a lot of clubs that are not owned by people who live and have grown up in the community. But in that case, we require and expect that the operating team is deeply connected to the community. And so you might have an owner that has 20 different businesses. The hockey team is one of those. Well, they better hire somebody who's authentic and legitimately involved and connected here, because that relationship with the community, the relationship with the city, the relationship with local businesses, the relationship with local youth hockey associations, that's what makes us successful. It's not having a guy that has a lot of money or a woman that has a lot of money that wants to own a team. It's the relationship with the community. Yeah, at a high level, what I can tell you is that when you're a member of the Western Hockey League, there's a marketing territory or a defined territory that clubs enjoy, marketing protection, so to speak, so that whether it's ticket sales or soliciting sponsorships or even, building your brand in the community, how far out you can go from your facility. I can tell you that both Kelowna, in the case of the Penticton expansion, and the Vancouver Giants, in the case of Chilliwack, have both endorsed these wholeheartedly, and we'll work with them and with the new ownership group to create really a border between the two communities that establishes who has the ability to market where. And we have two existing situations at least, maybe three, but Everett and Seattle reside pretty closely together, and they're in one another's territory. And Moose Jaw and Regina are only 45 minutes apart, and so a fairly similar kind of situation. And so we know how to handle that, and we have the advanced buy-in of both Kelowna and Vancouver in these cases. Yeah, that's not part of the plan right now. Reserve the right as we see how things shake out to reassess that. But at the moment, there's no plan to add any more than Penticton and Chilliwack.
So next up, we've just got a couple of photo opportunities. First with Acting Mayor Jason Lum and Commissioner Dan. So we'll get that. And then we'll invite council to come up for a photo as well.
Nice. That's awesome. Mike Myers. Yeah, that'd be great.
And if we could get the rest of council to come up and get a photo, that'd be great.
Awesome.
Frame that and put it up.
Absolutely.
Where's a good place to
Yeah,
stand?
should
Where
we
you want us?
move the, yeah, one hand.
So that concludes the formal portion of this event. There are some refreshments there. If you want to enjoy and mingle, please feel free. Thank you for coming.